Now that we are well and truly into 2023, it's time to do what I hope will be a video that will upset as many people in raw racing as possible. As you read from the title, we will be going over the top 5 raw racing games of 2022. The list I'm about to list isn't necessarily ranked by my personal favorite raw racing games, but rather the ones you might want to keep an eye on because of some several key criteria. The ranking of each game is based on rate of change over this past year, the amount of progress it has made since its release, its accessibility, its projected trajectory, and its overall quality. It took me such a long time to come to a final decision, so without further ado, let's see the top 5 games of raw racing in 2022. In number 5, we have Formula Racing. The game came out in 2020 and has made some huge progress in terms of handling, features, tracks, attention to detail, and overall quality. That aside, while their 2022 update was heavily delayed, it was an unforgettable one. It brought the extremely well-detailed 2022 cars with a new handling model that further improved what was already a good handling model of their 2021 cars. Not only that, but while Formula Racing's tried to bring race mode up to today's standards with a new lobby system was successful, its limited player base makes it pretty much unplayable. If you ask me, Formula Racing's tracks have one of, if not the best attention to detail in raw racing. They are extremely well decorated. Bahrain has the best attention to detail in terms of lighting I've ever seen. Miami speaks for itself by its incredibly accurate design. The heavily teased Singapore combines everything previously mentioned, and the soon-to-be released Imola earned Formula Racing its well-deserved 5th place in this list.
In number 4 is the widely known Formula Roblox by Wesley 1041. Most of you know the game for its simple car models and mechanics, but let me tell you, Formula Roblox has most likely got the most complex yet most clean code of all the racing games that have and will be mentioned in this list. Wesley 1041 is a coding master, and it's pretty much guaranteed that you aren't going to encounter a single bug while you play his game. Formula Roblox was first released back in 2020, and since then, Wesley has been releasing updates non-stop. Even though the updates are pretty spaced out, it's understandable. He's the only one working on the game after all. Throughout this 2-year period, he released the fairly recent 1.20 update, which brought the game up to modern standards with its new dynamic weather system. The 1.19 update, all the way down to the very first update of the game, included, in short, pit stops, the time trial mode with a fully working leaderboard, weekly challenges, a skill rating system, Xbox and mobile support, a dynamic racing line, a custom VIP server control board that lets you adjust settings including tire wear, laps, and slipstream to name a few, along with its huge library of tracks, cars, and the huge amount of liveries available, make this 2-year period absolutely worthwhile. Wesley is working hard to replace most of the blocky cars with smooth mesh cars, pretty much eliminating its very undeserved, childish in my opinion, reputation about its cars. Since Wesley made the timing system out of scratch, he was able to integrate it with his game way better than anyone else ever can. That results in a game that's incredibly accessible and easy to play, while having no bugs. However, its lack of skilled players, its awkward handling model, and corner cut mechanics is what places Formula Roblox in the very respectable 4th position. In number 3, we have Project Trackday. While this past year has been rocky for Project Trackday with staff members quitting and tracks being wrongfully placed in the game, the team pushed through and didn't disappoint. In the past year, Project Trackday was successfully able to implement their heavily teased race mode that absolutely skyrocketed its player count. Like that wasn't enough, the game was ported to mobile to let even more players experience what a beast of a game this is. Project Trackday developers made huge steps towards fully replaced ported tracks with fully custom ones, releasing the GT layout of Paul Ricard and the independent circuit, which had been in the works for a long time. We finally got the UI redesign that had been teased for so long, which changed the game's whole garage system and just gave the game a whole new personality. Overall, the game was improved in 2022, but what places it so high on this list is the amount of cars and classes the game has. Do you want to experience the blazingly fast LMP1 cars with their hybrid system? You can do that. Do you want to see what GT4 racing feels like? You can do that. You want to experience the classic Endurance Championship cars? You can also do that. the game even has the single-seater GP2 car from 2011. While yes, everything is technically locked if you're just starting to play the game, but with time, when you reach level 45 and have enough credits, I believe you will unlock everything. I myself have reached level 50 way before the update with the credits, so I didn't have to grind at all. But at the same time, it's understandable. It's another monetization technique. Number 2 is Ion Formula Racing. Most of you saw it coming, while many of you thought it would be in first due to the amount of progress it has made this year. However, first is reserved for Ion Formula Racing made what could be considered the best comeback ever known to racing. The 4.0 update was, to put it simply, a mess. Yes, it did bring the 2022 cars and was one of the first games to simulate porpoising. However, everything else about the car was incredibly poorly designed. Remember the worst Ferrari ever made, that combined understeer and oversteer to make for the ultimately bad car? It was kind of like that. The cars handled so bad that there was no point in buying one. You could be much faster with the previous 2020 and 2021 cars. There was one track that was added which was based in Brazil, but was basically unplayable due to optimization issues and not to mention the broken pit limiter. If you ask me, pressure really caught up to Ion developers. The update was delayed multiple times due to real-life issues and was terrible once released. Several weeks of maintenance, betas, alphas, honestly I lost count. Later, the game was back to a playable stage, but still needed a lot of work to be able to again challenge for the title of the best game out there. The developers seemed to have learned from their mistakes, and once the next update was ready, it was released as a beta. That way, whoever didn't want to play it could just go over to the main 4.0 game. That is probably what helped Ion developers really polish the next update, and once the 5.0 update was fully out, it totally revolutionized the game. It brought in a new race mode that is probably the best one in raw racing. The handling of the 2022 cars was improved so much to the point where I started playing IFR again and had my best race ever, which you can by the way watch by clicking the card on the top right of your screen. It brought fuel consumption, a new penalty system, a way to finally race Game Pass cars, 2 new excellent tracks that have fully eliminated bumps, damage to all cars, and whatever bugs came with the 5.0 update were immediately fixed in the next patch just 1 week later. It was quite apparent that the developers learned from their mistakes and they were ready to once again lead the raw racing scene. If you ask me, Ion Formula Racing has the best and most fun chassis out there. It has an incredibly well-designed race mode, the cars have complex ERS, fuel, and DRS systems, the tracks are finally getting their well-deserved revamps, Game Pass cars are finally worth buying, its new pit system combined with a terrific dynamic weather system is a great combo, but its aggressive grinding mechanics is what puts Ion Formula Racing in second place. But before we go and check which game takes first place, I want to make some honorable mentions. Superblox Racing is the first one of its kind. What do I mean by that? Well, its developer VChamps was successfully able to implement AI with adjustable difficulty and time trial lap replays. I have no idea how on earth he was able to do that, especially with the data store limitations of the Roblox engine, but if you set a lap time and forget to record, don't you worry, the game has you covered. Superblox Racing is planning to do huge things in 2023, so keep an eye on them. It will be interesting. Fromula 2003, made by the chunky president, is there to remind you of the good old times. The game uses tank chassis and gives players the ability to experience some really nicely designed tank chassis cars. The game was also the first one to implement an engineer that criticizes you for your terrible laps, but also gives you credit for your good ones. Not anything too realistic, but fun to play with friends nevertheless. And last but not least, VOR22 is trying after its many failures to deliver a good looking and driving Formula 1 game. While the game is filled with bugs and broken features, the entire game is being recoded. We hope good things for them. And with all that now aside, it's finally time to reveal the best racing game in Roblox. And in number 1, we have Project Apex. I mean, where do I begin? The game is incredibly well polished. There is a ton of tracks and cars that are, by the way, upgradable, not only changing their stats, but also changing their visual appearance. The recently added IndyCar, or the Arrow car, is a great addition to its already big amount of content. Their iteration of the race mode is insanely well made, and the fact that not all classic cars are locked behind Roblox paywalls has made Project Apex the game to beat. For those who don't know, Project Apex was re-released on December of 2021 after being taken down in 2020 for copyright reasons. The game has made an insane amount of progress for a one-year-old game. It has regular content updates that are marketed insanely well for a Roblox game. They keep players interested. It doesn't have an aggressive grinding system or an XP one. You just do a few laps for an hour or two and you'll have the best cars on the market. Every downside that the previously mentioned games have, Project Apex doesn't. The menus are smooth, the tunes are consistent, the damage to the cars is very well recreated, their race mode is excellent, their tracks are incredibly accurate and are most likely the best decorated ones too. The sound design is probably also the best in raw racing. All the features they add are incredibly polished, and the perfectly spaced out updates make Project Apex the game to beat by a mile. The game is a true example of what raw racing is capable of, and I'm extremely proud of it. 2023 is the most exciting year for raw racing yet. While we are reaching the Roblox engine's limitations, many people find ways past that, and this year will be no different. I'm excited to see what this year has in store for us, and I hope you are too. This video took me an incredibly long time to make, and I think it shows. If you liked it, do subscribe for more videos like this. I would really appreciate it. Let me know which games you think were the best this year, but until the next time, stay safe and bye-bye.